Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, guilty movie pleasure fans, we hope you're all watching this from the safety of your quarantined home and you're all staying sane. I know I'm trying to do that. I'm definitely staying home. I don't know how well I'm succeeded at being sane yet. But hey, I'm Ben Begley, your host, and with me as always, just not...
I'm Jesse McIntosh.
Yeah.
I jumped you there. I was so excited to say my name.
It's okay. You're in front of a yellow wall this week instead of a closet.
That's right. Yeah, we just zoomed in.
Oh, okay.
And there's no toddler art behind you.
No. I decided to just, be real shameless self-promoting with my own movie poster behind me. It looks even worse. I will tweet out some of my daughter's art, her chalk art this week. She's improved since last time.
Great.
It's more cutesy and less horrifying and less Babadook-ish.
So she's gone more literal and less expressionist,
abstract, like Jackson Pollock, but of my nightmares. Yeah. If anybody didn't watch last week, they're like, "What the hell are they talking about?"
That's on them. I don't even care. Go watch last week.
Oh, I got excited because the last OG mentioned me, and I forgot it's because I like to tweet, and they're automatically doing it. Son of a. Anyways, hey, we're quarantined this week, and with us in the booth is Ryan. Say hi, Ryan.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Super psyched to talk. This is the end. This is like one of my favorite comedies of the last decade, and this is such a fitting movie to talk about during this time. I'm just going to throw it out there just to make people aware.
Please.
We did a bit of a chaotic shot in the dark before we went live, and we tweeted some links out to some people involved in this film to see if they might join. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's out there in the ether. How many people
that aren't the people you anticipated trying to join?
We have about we're at like 10 trying to join. And as far as I can tell, they're not people that were involved in this motion picture. One's named Sco. So let's go.
If we get crazy at the end of the show, we can bring a couple guests on as long as they promise not to have like their
body
off.
parts. Yeah.
But as long as I could be not wearing pants right now and it's fine. I'm wearing sweatpants.
I'm wearing 5 pairs of pants.
5?
Yes.
Someone told you that you can only catch coronavirus through your legs or lower torso, and so you're really...
That's where it's most contagious.
Okay.
It's calves.
I read that on One America News Network, actually. I read it on there. Anyways, hey, we're talking This Is the End. I got the Blu-ray right here, let's get into it, because I think we only have 45 minutes, and I love this movie so much. I saw this, when did this come out? Came out in 2013, so we're talking 7 years ago. It feels like yesterday. This movie came out in 2013. I remember Renee, my wife, and I went and saw it in theaters, and we were crying. We were laughing so hard. Specifically, the scene where he's like, "I'll come wherever I want." This is going to be a very vulgar show, by the way. But when Danny McBride and James Franco is yelling at Danny McBride for masturbating to his porno mag, and they go back and forth about... we'll get to it. It's absurd. We have a sound clip. And I remember the kicking the head around. I remembered a lot of the big jokes and Michael Cera being a cokehead and hysterically offensive in this. And we loved it. But I, for some reason, hadn't revisited it in 7 years. And I don't know why, because watching it last night, it was just as funny as I remembered, if not even more so now, because the craziness that these characters get to in their quarantine just seems like a fun catharsis while being quarantined, and I love seeing all of them play extreme heightened bonkers versions of themselves. Ryan, you already said how you loved it, right, when you saw it as one of your favorite movies of the last decade.
It is, yeah. One of my favorite comedies. I probably watch this once or twice a year, honestly.
Wow.
I remember seeing this with a bunch of high school friends, and we all just had the best time. Because not only does it work really well with our current situation, but I feel like this is just a great friend movie.
Yeah.
And also the thing that I think just raises this comedy up from a lot of others is the production value is shockingly good. It's shockingly great, actually. Like if you look at any of the other
third
Seth
act is
Rogen movies,
insane. Yeah.
it's really well made, which I think it's just a surprise because it feels like it almost feels like a student film because it's just a bunch of friends making a movie together. But yeah, it's a delight. I really love it.
I didn't know my friend. That's awesome, man. And I do agree with that. The third act of this movie, not that they're remotely similar. I guess they kind of are because they deal with the end of the world. The third act of this movie reminds me of Cabin in the Woods, where it just goes insane and bonkers and really pays off the premise so well. But the reason I saved you for last, Jesse, is I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you said you'd never seen this movie.
So it turns out I had seen up to when the apocalypse starts. So I'd seen up to when Jay and Seth make it to the like convenience store.
Yeah.
And the blue beams start bringing people up.
Yeah.
And I think honestly it was just a matter of like timing. Like I had to go somewhere, and then maybe the rental ended or something. I don't even remember what it was, but everything up to that point was super familiar, and then I didn't remember anything after that. So I think that's where I was at.
How did the end of the second 2/3 of it? How did that pan out for you?
I would co-sign everything you guys are saying. I think it's really well done. It's really interesting to look at. There's a lot of different big set pieces.
Yeah.
That are done really well. I really enjoyed the movies within the movie. So like the Pineapple Express sequel and the Exorcism of Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Those were my favorite really, really well done. Like you said, I really enjoyed the sort of heightened version of that everyone was doing of themselves.
Yeah.
They were just like, and this is only like very, very, very minimal nitpick, and it's something that sort of like has worn thin over the course of like 15 years of these guys doing movies together.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Just like kind of the scene that you're talking about is guilty of this, the like coming everywhere scene, where they just like are paddling the ball back and forth for probably 3 or 4 times longer than it needs to go.
Yeah.
But everything else, everything that's like clippy and short and new and different is really well done and really funny.
I agree. I agree with that. I love this movie. There's 2 specific moments where it goes on too long. I remember like just really glaring to me that whole scene. I think I cut the sound clip where in my mind the scene should have cut off because it's about like it's about a minute too long. And then there's the scene where Craig Robinson goes, "Hey, anybody want this dick?" And it's a giant dick statue. And if it just ended with him going, "Well, I want this dick," I'd be like, that was such a funny punchline. And then there's like a 40-second thing of him dragging it off that just goes on a little too long. Now, I can say that because I'm very guilty of this. When we did the Funhouse Massacre, which I'm shamelessly pointing to behind me, the director and I went back and forth with notes a few times because I wanted to have like another ad lib at the end of the scene or like another thing at the end. And then we were constantly, and I'd say 98%. There was one joke I wish we kept in, but every other joke that we cut, I was fine with. But so I'm guilty of that in my writing and in improv, where it's like, I can see where it's a bunch of best friends that got together and they're just improving and making each other laugh. But since it only happens a few times for me, it doesn't bother me. And the movie's an hour and 46 minutes. What really bothers me is when comedies are like 2 hours to 2 hours and 15 minutes, where you're just like, what the hell are we watching now? This isn't like, there's super long biopics that cover an entire person's life in the time that this is just having people improv.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance because like everything individually on its face is very, very, very funny.
Yeah.
And then there's just, you reach a point of no return when keeping too much in makes it less funny.
Yeah.
And you just have to find that balance. And I think for the most part, they did a really good job with this one, finding that balance.
Absolutely.
There were just a couple of moments that really stood out, but
Absolutely.
I like, it was so minimal. It didn't detract from my enjoyment of the movie.
Who do I keep hearing?
Oh, sorry, that might be I might be Bree. I'll unmute myself intermittently, but I just wanted to ask real quick, Ben, as a filmmaker, There's a
You
sense.
can use that term loosely.
Yeah. Well, there's like this sense of just everyone's on board. Like everyone is just so, I think, passionate about this. Like, and I think there's a teetering for the first 10 or 15 minutes where you're like, all right, like are they going to be actually laughing at themselves throughout, or are they actually trying to say something? And one thing that just really impresses me is that they really do say something about like their celebrity and their friendship towards the end, and I think that really makes the entire movie work.
Yeah, I definitely think that, and the short film that it's based on, Jay and Seth versus the Apocalypse, I watched that last night. It's actually more dramatic than it is funny, and I think that they kept that core where this movie would just be ridiculous and funny, and we'd laugh at it. But really, what makes you sit through the whole thing is at the core, Jay and Seth, these two friends that have grown apart, and we all can relate to being introduced or trying to introduce an old friend into a new group of friends, and how that doesn't always work, and how sometimes you grow apart. And I thought that was a really great thing to root it in. And just honestly, watching these guys, it felt like I was watching my friends from back home if we all went through an apocalypse. Like we would all freak the hell out and eventually be complete maniacs. And I even have a friend that would totally be the Danny McBride and like throwing the water all over himself, being like, so it was as outlandish as this is, the circumstances are so insane that you totally buy into it. So, how you doing in there, Ryan? You getting a bunch of requests? Are you regretting doing this?
Yeah, we just had someone called Fredo Sauce try to join in the party, as well as
shout out Fredo
Are we
Sauce.
cutting back? Are we cutting back and forth between us, or is it just your shocked expression the entire time?
We're definitely cutting back and forth between people. No, I
hope this entire podcast is our disembodied voices and just Ryan's face, like, I shouldn't have sent out the Zoom link.
Yeah. But
I read that article about how people are hacking Zoom, let alone with me.
Well, that's why they made this update. Now we can admit people, just for that exact reason. But what you mentioned, Danny McBride, I was gonna say, complete seriousness, one of the best intro scenes to a character I've seen in the movie.
Both times he's introduced.
Oh yeah.
Both times he's introduced is incredible.
The song, the montage, it's amazing. It's like really artistic.
And just how much of a dick he's being when he's making all the food, and just like,
and he does like the bird over the whole. Yeah.
I can say without any hesitation that Danny McBride is one of the funniest people on earth, because he is always so funny. He's so specific, and the reason he's so funny is he comes off as like, he at first he comes off kind of oafish, but then he uses such hilarious words and weird phrases, like when he's like, I love Harry Potter, I was going to ask her all about those wonderful motion pictures, and just like his way of phrasing things is so articulate and funny that juxtaposes the kind of the doofus things that he does in his characters, that it's this really sweet spot of comedy that is so rare, and I don't see a lot of people doing what he does.
And he's so indignant all the time. Yeah. Like 100 is like, how dare anyone have a different perspective than I do, which is the dumbest perspective here. Yeah. It's just it permeates the whole thing.
My buddy, his daughter and Danny McBride's kids went to the same elementary school, and he said Danny McBride's like the nicest guy on earth in real life. So it's so funny that he plays all these kind of like shitty people, like Kenny Powers, Eastbound and Down, the Righteous Gemstones, like vice principals, every character he ever plays. But I think that's why he's so funny, is because you can tell there's a kernel of him that shows he's likable. You know he's likable. You can tell when people are dickheads in real life, and he doesn't give me that vibe. So anyways, let's get into this plot in under 3 minutes while Ryan screens more people trying to get in. You ready for this?
Oh, we're ready.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, we're ready. We're ready. So we're going in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so here we go. It starts off with Jay Baruchel landing in LA, visiting Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen gets stopped by some TMZ people saying, "Hey, how come you're not funny? Do the laugh, do the laugh. Oh, that's so great. Do some weed, whatever." Anyways, they go back, they smoke a ton of weed, they start partying, and then Seth Rogen's like, "Hey, I want to take you over to James Franco's house." He's like, "I really don't want to go. I just kind of want to hang out with you, man." That's my best Jay Baruchel impression. And then they go to James Franco's house. Everybody's there. Michael Cera's doing coke. Rihanna's there. We have Aziz Ansari and Mindy Kaling. It's huge. Every celebrity comedian at the time in 2013 you can imagine is there. And then the apocalypse hits after they go to a convenience store. People start being beamed up. And Jesse, take it over.
Wait, so Jay also hates Jonah Hill. That's a big thing because he's like comes over to be nice to him. He's like, I got to go to smoke, and then he goes, and
It's my favorite dynamic.
The apocalypse happens. They run back to James Franco's house where it hasn't hit yet. They're like, big earthquake, aliens are coming. There's things coming up from the sky. And they're like, you're going crazy. And then another rumble happens. Everyone runs outside. There's a big crater. People start falling in. Everyone's dying. Craig Robinson lets Aziz Ansari die. They all run back in. They're like, what the hell was that? They put on TV and it's like everyone stay inside. Then TV goes off and then they fall asleep all together. And then Danny McBride shows up.
He wakes up in the morning and he apparently slept through everything, doesn't know what happened. And he makes, they go through all the supplies they have. He cooks all of their food. And then he's like, what? I made breakfast for you guys. Why are you so upset with me?
30.
And they get super pissed off at him. And then they try and figure out how to survive. They end up running out of water. So they make a plan to go to the basement.
So wait, first there's a guy. The guy comes in. The guy gets his head cut off. And then Emma Watson comes back. And they're like, we got to make sure we don't rape her. And then she's like, I'm taking all of your beverages. And she runs out. And then they're like, all right, now we got to get water. They draw matches. Craig Robinson pulls the match.
Yeah, and then
he's like, pull me out.
He sees a demon creature.
60 seconds.
They end up figuring out that they can hammer through the floor, and they all take turns doing that. Danny McBride starts losing it. There's the whole, don't come on, I'll come all over you. You come over me. All that stuff. And then they get to the water, and Danny McBride the next morning, they're all kind of getting okay again, and then they're handing and then Danny McBride chugs all the water and loses his mind. And they decide that they got to get rid of him, and they're gonna vote him out basically. And he's like, no, okay, man, well, at least give me the gun so I can go out. And they give him the gun from Flyboys, and he tries to shoot all of them, but luckily it was blanks. And then he leaves, and then
20 seconds.
The rest of them are in there. And
Jonah gets possessed.
Help me out. Jonah gets possessed while Craig Robinson and Jay Baruchel go for another water run at the neighbor's house, and they get chased by a hellhound. Then eventually Jonah Hill gets caught on fire. They run outside. The apocalypse is happening. Danny McBride is now a cannibal with Channing Tatum and his butt buddy. And then they end up all doing nice things.
0.
Everyone gets pulled up.
Boys.
This is the end of your time.
Hey, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Oh my God, this movie, I could watch it again right now and enjoy the shit out of it so much. Because, like Ryan, like you were saying, it's not just a mumblecore, like improv-based comedy. And Jesse, you were saying this too, how like they cut to very specific, funny visual jokes. Like all their montages are hysterical to me when it's like they'll cut in on some like one really quick thing, like when they're trying to get all the artwork off the walls to board up, and they set up that James Franco is like in love with Seth Rogen. He idolizes him, and he has these artworks that he's made, one of Seth Rogen and one of James Franco, just their names. And they go to pull down Seth Rogen's art, and he's like, no, man, don't do that. Just take mine instead, all right? So there's this awesome dynamic there. There's the great dynamic set up that Jay hates Jonah Hill, and Jonah Hill just seems like the nicest guy ever.
Dude, Jonah has the most.
Oh my God!
Like it's such a detailed performance because there's like this really weird vibe about him throughout the whole movie.
Well, that's what's so surprising about this movie is not that they're not great in everything, but this is some of their best acting because it's like instead of playing like caricatures of themselves, they're playing exaggerated versions of themselves, but it's still very grounded. It's like never does it get too hammy that I don't believe they're real human beings. It's just like their persona and how they could be perceived turned up to 11 instead of like it could have easily gone up to 15 and become just like a spoof. But this never feels like a spoof. It feels like these kind of egomaniacal people just like going insane together. Oh my God, it's some of the best comedy I've seen in a while.
I feel like Jonah Hill always gives a really grounded performance. And Craig Robinson as well. But to me, Jonah Hill in this, his introduction is just one of the funniest scenes in the movie, where he comes in and he's like, we just tight. He's like, oh man, you have the best references. Everyone knows that, man. You have the best references. Like, just him trying to relate to someone who he knows hates him.
Yeah.
Is just like the funniest, most uncomfortable.
So good. And just to clarify, I wasn't saying that these guys aren't grounded otherwise. I'm saying since they're playing exaggerated versions of themselves, it would have been easy to not ground their performances. But it all seems it seems sincere, and I love it for that. Let's play. I love the TMZ guy in the beginning where he's like, "Come on, Seth, give me the laugh. Come on, man. Hey, how come you're not doing as good at movies anymore?" You know, it's like such a dick thing that they do. And let's play the first one where Seth Rogen and Jay Baruchel are talking in the car, and Jay is getting the first whiff of Seth changing, maybe.
I'm on this cleanse. You're on a what? I'm on a cleanse. What? It's good for you. I didn't know. You're supposed to take 6 shits a day. That's not true. You're supposed to shit twice a day. No, that's not true. That's what they used to think. Now they know you're supposed to shit 6 times a day. So you're not drinking, you're not smoking weed, you're not... No. I'm drinking and smoking weed. But I'm on a cleanse. I'm not psychotic.
That's such a good line. I'm on a cleanse. I'm not psychotic. And then the very next shot is him eating a Carl's Jr. burger with Jay. It's so, I love that little banter back and forth so much. I'm on a cleanse. You're supposed to take... I don't know how many times you're supposed to shit during the day. I've never heard 6, though.
I've never heard 6. 6 seems excessive.
It seems like you may want to call the doctor.
Yeah.
Or cut back on your life cereal.
They're not good, solid movements at that point. You don't have enough in you.
Yeah, no, I mean, unless you're going to Golden Corral and eating the buffet. But so the whole intro when they go to Franco's place is hysterical, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't pull any of Michael Cera's sound clips, and I'm really regretting.
Does he not steal the entire first 30 minutes of this movie? Like,
oh my God,
steals it. It's all the hardest laughs.
When he's like, he says something to McLovin where he's like, "Hey, you want to know what Coke smells like?" And then he's like, and just blows it all in Christopher Mintz-Platt's face, and he's like, "Oh, I've never done Coke before. What's gonna happen?" And he's such an asshole. The scene where Jay goes up to go to the bathroom, and Michael Cera has his pants down and a girl on the side of his butt and a girl on the other side, and he's drinking a Capri Sun. He's like, "Oh, she just needs a sip. She just needs a sippy time," and he gives her the Capri Sun.
He gives her the Capri Sun and then maintains eye contact with Jay, who for some reason is just standing there. Like, you're telling me this whole house doesn't have another bathroom that he could have just been like, "That's my bad, man.
It's incredible.
Still gotta go."
Because, I mean, Michael Cera was known as George Michael Bluth on Arrested Development. He was known as George Michael on there. Just like the sweetest, most awkward kid. And to see him like smacking Rihanna's ass, which I hear she hauled off and hit him hard. I was watching the behind the scenes, and he asked her to like not hold back, and I guess she really
that
looks painful in that moment.
Yeah. Guess how much money of celebrity are on screen in this whole sequence? Like, there are just all of Hollywood is in the first 10 minutes of this.
I wonder if it's something though that like, I'm willing to bet they weren't paid that much.
That's what I was going to say.
Like, it was like one day, and they shot the hell out of it, and it seems like most of those people were either friends or people that wanted to be in a comedy. Like, I gotta see if 21 Jump Street, Ryan, I don't know if you can look this up. I'm gonna look it up right now. If 21 Jump Street was before or after this.
This is the end of 2013. 21 Jump Street. I'll check. I'll get back to you guys.
Because I wondered. I remember seeing. Oh no, 2012. All right, so it was 2012 that 21 Jump Street was. But I remember being shocked when Channing Tatum was actually in the movie as the Gimp at the end, as Danny McBride's Gimp. I remember.
No, listen. As soon as they mentioned Channing Tatum lives down there, I was like, hell Yeah. Channing Tatum's gonna be in this movie. And I like the whole time I was like, where's Channing?
Where's
the
Channing?
entire time. Yeah. When the guy's like trying to break in and it was just some guy that
he's a commercial actor who's super funny.
Sure, but like not a guy who's playing
Channing
himself, right? Yeah. I was like, oh, here's Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't, and I was disappointed. But it was a nice spot for him.
Speaking of Channing Tatum, I think we should do White House Down one of these weeks with him and Jamie Foxx because it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm in.
Anyways, back to this movie. So then there's all kinds of ridiculous stuff where they go to the convenience store and these guys are being assholes to the clerk, and then beams of light come down and start sucking people up into heaven, and the air conditioner falls on her and crushes her, and they freak out and go back, and nobody believes them. And then Paul Rudd has such a funny cameo in this movie where he comes running with the biggest bottle of champagne for the housewarming. He's like, oh my God, what happened? And then the moment when, so all the shit hits the fan, everybody runs out. There's a sinkhole that opens up into hell. Everybody falls in. Aziz Ansari is holding on. And Craig Robinson's like, it's too late for you. I can't help you. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm still halfway out of the hole. And then who does he grab onto that kicks him in the face a bunch of times?
Oh,
I can't remember.
Was that David Krumholtz?
Well, he gets kicked in the face and then finally dies. And then Paul Rudd's running, and a woman falls on the ground, and he steps on her head and bursts her eyeball out and kills her. And he's like, I'm so sorry. It's so ridiculous. It's like the most ridiculous apocalypse you've ever seen. And then
you know who I felt bad for was Martin Starr. Isn't he like in that crew?
Yeah, no, he's in that scene somewhere because he was on.
He's
set.
in. They like mention him.
Yeah,
they say his name at one point.
In the behind the scenes, they showed him somewhere, but somehow it got cut out or whatever.
Maybe it was a schedule thing because he was like when they're looking at the big sinkhole, he's there.
Oh my God!
But then not in the rest of the movie.
When he's like, I'm going to give you all my weight. I'm going to give you all my weight. and Jay's like, I got you. And just immediately falls.
Yeah.
It's the saddest.
David Krumholtz, I'm going to give you all my weight. Are you sure you can take all of my weight? And I love that they're within the confines of this, they spoof several cliches of different movies. And I've always thought that when like somebody's falling, like, I'm going to swing you up. It's like, that's physically impossible to do.
Yeah, actually don't do that. Why don't you get a steadier grip?
Yeah.
Like he's just holding onto a patch of grass at that point.
Or why don't you climb up, have somebody grab your legs, and then get me?
Yeah.
But that's why it's so funny to be like, you're going to take all my weight. You promise? Ah! And it's Kevin Hart that kicks the hell out of Aziz Ansari. He's like, get off me, Aziz! Kevin Hart's so funny in this movie, too. So then they all run inside, and it's just Jay Baruchel, James Franco, Craig Robinson, Seth Rogen, and Jonah Hill that are there. And they're all freaking out. The news goes out. There's no contact with the outside world. And clip number 2 happens where Jonah Hill's trying to calm everyone down.
A huge earthquake happens. Who do they rescue first? Actors. Famous people. They'll get Clooney, Sandra Bullock, me. If there's room, you guys will come. The point is that we're all going to get out of this first.
I love that. Me. If there's room, you guys will come. It's so good. Oh, God. And that's his little slivers of him being a douchebag that pay off later tenfold when the reveal of him praying to God to kill Jay and then getting possessed by the devil.
There were like a couple of references to Jonah Hill being like a real actor in this, but James Franco was nominated for an Oscar for 127 hours, and they don't mention it at all.
That's what's so funny.
In fact, they get the name of the movie wrong.
Yeah, that's what's so hysterical to me. What, Ryan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, that was great. I was going to say that. Yeah, they used
Ryan's
the camera.
just laughing.
They used the camera of 127 hours, but you're right. Yeah, they never
from
really
27 hours.
Yeah.
And then there's the helicopter. Then you were talking about the production value of this, Ryan. The helicopter crashes. They're like, oh, a helicopter. They're going to rescue us. It crashes in their backyard. The blade flies through, and you think it like severs Craig Robinson's hand, and it gives him a paper cut, basically. It's like, your house did this to me. It's so ridiculous. And then clip number 3, let's play this because this actually segues into the 127 hours you were talking about. This is the supplies they have left after
we got 12
the
bottles of water, 56 beers, 2 vodkas, 4 whiskey, 6 bottles of wine, tequila, Nutella, cheese, pizza, eggs, bananas, apples, bacon, steaks, pancake mix, CT Crunch, milk, ketchup, a Milky Way, half-ounce sour diesel, 3.5 grams Grandmaster Kush, 1 ounce of shrooms, 15 pills of ecstasy, a porno mag, a baseball bat, and the video camera from the movie 27 Hours.
127 hours.
127 hours, and a functioning revolver from the movie Flyboys.
A functioning revolver.
The best. And I love that they set up very early on that James Franco keeps props from all of his movies.
Yeah.
And God damn it.
I love that. So Seth Rogen has the full list of their supplies.
Yeah.
And when James Franco goes, it's 127 hours. He changes what he wrote down. So, okay.
Yeah, my bad.
127
You got to make sure this is correct.
Fixes his list.
And the Milky Way then becomes like the golden apple. They're like the what word am I looking for? The pinnacle of what everyone wants. They all want this Milky Way. And then it's this whole thing throughout it. And then there's a callback later on when Jonah Hill goes into shock. They think he's going into his low blood sugar shock. But the whole scene where
I read that they chose Milky Way because it was sort of a metaphor for everyone wanted to be lifted up to the stars.
Really?
No, absolutely not. But
for a second I was like, that sounds like some IMDb trivia. You went
I
deep
legit
there.
thought that was
no, I
real.
made that up just now.
I believe you.
Wow.
So the next scene where they all go to where they start off with Jay in the living room sleeping, and then slowly every single other member comes down and sleeps in there all cuddled up. It's so funny, and it makes them so endearing because they're all like these kind of like big, loud, like they act like they're tough, but they admit immediately. They're like, Craig Robinson's even like, we're all sissies, we're actors, we can't do shit. It's just so good that they are so self-deprecating. Then Danny McBride comes in, and we've already talked at length about how hilarious his sequence is. And then Jay tries to tell him it's a book of revelations. And instead of really exploring that, they decide to take all the drugs. They just decide to go on a drug trip, and make Pineapple Express 2, which is one of my favorite sequences ever. Because it's shot like, it looks like it was shot on like VHS, on that camera from 127 hours, on like a beta or like a mini 8 DV or mini DV camera. And it looks like the crap I used to shoot with my high school buddies, and the bad acting, and like, hey, you guys are going to have to get these drugs from me or I'll kill you. It's so ridiculous. If you haven't seen this movie, it's worth watching just for the Pineapple Express 2 trailer.
And then they apparently cut it together. Like they did a full post-production on Pineapple Express 2.
I'm really impressed with them.
Yeah.
Somehow. The electricity was still working, so they could get on their iMac.
I just wonder who brought those skills to the table, because a lot of these guys have been
Franco.
Actors from the beginning. I don't know how many of them have invested into like, I'm going to make my own stuff.
I think it's Franco. I would say Franco. Yeah, because he had all those Funny or Die things with his brother, acting lessons with his brother.
There you go.
Then Emma Watson shows up. Holy shit. It's so great. She axes open the door. She comes in looking badass. They're all like, hey, we're going to help you. You can go upstairs and take a rest. And then I didn't pull the best part of the scene, but I pulled Danny McBride's awkward Harry Potter reference. Can we clip number 4, please?
Man, I for one am very excited. I'm a massive Harry Potter fan. What? Yes, I love fucking Harry Potter. I cannot wait till she wakes up and I can ask her all these amazing questions about how they made those motion pictures. Take it easy, Dumbledore.
I can't wait till she wakes up and I can ask her all these amazing questions, or all these how they made those amazing motion pictures. It's so funny, his cadence and everything. And then Jay is the one who really takes things to 11 in this, which is hysterical because it's in a way spoofing that kind of like overreactive culture where he's like, hey, we should make sure like she feels safe, and they're all like, well, why the fuck wouldn't she feel safe? And then Danny McBride comes out and is like, he's trying to say we should make sure none of us are going to rape her. And then they're like, whoa, dude, whoa. And it escalates to this argument where basically they start accusing which one of them would do it. And Emma Watson comes out with an axe and is like, I heard you guys saying that. And she steals all their water, and it's so funny.
One of my favorite lines is the lead up to this when Jay's like, I think we should address the elephant in the room. And they're like, and Craig Robinson's like, you're talking about me?
Yeah. Oh no, I think Seth Rogen goes, Craig? And Craig's just like, oh.
But then one of them goes, that's racist, man. Like, what?
It's so... Oh my God. Like they can't, like, that's such a tricky joke to make work, and it's fucking hilarious. You know, it's never like, because they're not making a joke about the actual crime or whatever. They're making a joke about like, oh yeah, who's the creepiest dude in this circle, you know? So it's completely directed at all of them being buffoons, and Emma Watson's reaction, and then swinging the axe at these 6 grown men, and they're all like, oh! It's so funny. Oh my God. Now there's the clip that I almost peed myself in the theater when this happened. So they've decided, they go outside, and Craig Robinson tries to get water and the basement door, the shelter door is locked, and he gets chased by something. They drop the rope. They're like, oh, we dropped the rope. We're so sorry. We fucked up. So sorry, man.
They also, they're like, they do it twice where they're picking matches.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to watch everyone root against and for the different friends. Yeah. When Craig Robinson picks it, and they're all like, yes.
And I think later on, then Seth Rogen's like, or one of them is like, I think it's Seth that's like, oh, I wish it wasn't you. I was hoping it was and they.
Yeah, James Franco hates Danny McBride.
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah.
And he's like, I wish it was some other people here.
Holy shit! So then they realize that they can dig up the floor to get down to this like storm shelter basement he's built, and James Franco comes out upset because the porno mag has been, excuse my French, jizzed on. And can we play? This is the back and forth between him and Danny McBride, clip number 5.
I mean, you're getting all worked up over a fucking porno mag. Who has goddamn porno mags anymore? Welcome to the 21st century, Buck Rogers. You designed a house with fucking iPads in the walls. You're jerking your dick like a goddamn pilgrim.
That's right, man. I like to fucking read.
You think that's the only thing I jerked off in here? I've been dropping loads around this fucking house like a goddamn dump truck.
You don't come on my stuff.
I'll come wherever the fuck I want, James. I'll fucking come in your kitchen. I'll come on your fucking art. I'll come anywhere I want.
I will fucking come right on you. I will come like a fucking madman all over you, McBride.
Ooh, I fucking wish you'd come on me right now. I fucking dare you to come on me.
See, like, that's where it should have cut off. Hysterical.
Yeah.
And then it goes on for like 2 more minutes.
Oh my God.
And there's a deleted scene where it goes on for like 6 minit's.
My favorite part is actually where he goes like, I'll shoot it off. He's like, you went on the bullets. Like,
it's so... when he's like, you're over here jerking off like a goddamn pilgrim.
That is so funny.
Yeah, I like to read.
Like,
holy shit.
I would love to just see a scene play out of what Danny McBride thinks pilgrims did. Like, were there published magazines when the pilgrims came over? I don't think so.
Like, but that's the brilliance of all of these actors, is they're able to improv in such a specific, weird way that even though it's nonsensical, it still makes sense. If that, you know what I mean? Like, God damn it, you got a house of fucking iPads in the walls, jerking off like a goddamn pilgrim. Holy shit! It's like if anybody has like a teenage son and they catch him with porno mags, they should use that whole thing. You got Pornhub on your computer, but you're sitting here jerking off like a goddamn pilgrim. I like to read, Dad. Anyways, so then
also, to be fair, there was no internet at this point.
There was none.
Their internet cut out.
Yeah.
So good thing he had the magazine.
There's also, I didn't pull this part because the clip is so long. There's a part in the beginning where James Franco comes out and he's like, hey, who jizzed all over this nice magazine that I was nice enough to tell you all about? Like that he calls it a nice magazine. So they start getting very upset with each other. They fall through the floor. They get more water. and then they're sipping water. They've rationed it out in these martini glasses like Samantha from Sex and the City. And they're all, then Danny McBride goes and pours himself another, and then he goes nuts and pours it all over himself. And this is when they're like, he's got to go. We got to get him the fuck out of here. And Danny McBride's sticking up for himself because James Franco's saying maybe if you didn't jizz so much, you wouldn't be so thirsty. And this is Danny McBride's response. Clip number 6.
You're making me into a joke right now, Franco, and you are not going to like the fucking punchline.
I think I'm stealing that for the rest of my life. Whenever people are like fucking with me, I'm going to be like, listen, you're making me into a fucking joke and you're not going to like the punchline. That's such a great, like,
It's
you
wonderful.
could see an action hero. You could see like The Rock in a movie being like, hey, you're making me into a joke and you're not going to like the punchline. You know, I mean, that's such a good line.
He had a couple of those that were just like walk-off lines.
Yeah.
But he just like shoots them off without putting emphasis on it at all. And it really just, I don't know. It's so well done. The way it just doesn't care about it at all. Just throws it out there.
Yeah. It's, oh my God, I'm stealing that. I'm going to just start saying that all the time, just when it has to do with nothing going on, just a non sequitur. But then this is James Franco talking to them about how they got to get him out of here. And I love specifically listen to how James Franco says go over and over.
The fucker's got to go. Go.
Wait.
The fucker's got to go.
I can't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear that one?
Did it go?
Well, yeah, it did. Let me play it one time.
I can't hear you, Ryan. Did I lose you?
Go.
Jesse, can you hear me?
I cannot. I can hear you.
Oh, you guys didn't hear that one?
Well, hey, pretend we heard it.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's all right, though, as
Okay.
long as they did.
Yeah, they
The
heard
fucker's
it.
got to go.
Yeah.
Okay, he's got to go. Ever since last night when Renee and I watched it again, we've been saying that, where I'm like, I got to go get the mail. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to go. It's going to get old.
Wait, hold on. You say, I have to go get the mail. It's time for me to go. You say go differently within the same sentence.
You know, I'm still working out.
You're building up to it. I see.
You know, I'm I'm working out.
I get it.
Okay. Thanks, Jesse. I'm trying to
Put your own personal spin on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to put my own personal spin. Now I gotta go.
Yeah.
Gots to go. Anyways, so this movie, I just could sit here and laugh at every single joke in this thing. They have an intervention with Danny, and you think that he's become better, and he's like, you know, you all keep talking about how I'm coming all the time, but really, it seems like maybe I should be going. And it's so sincere. Then he's like, well, give me the gun. And then immediately turns it on him and tries to point blank shoot all 5 of them and then leaves. And then this is where we start to see the dark side of Jonah Hill. This is Jonah's prayer when he goes to bed after having a little bit of a tiff with Jay, and Jay telling him he doesn't like
Dear
him.
God.
Clip number 8.
I'd like to pray to you for a second. It's me, Jonah Hill, from Moneyball.
I can't hear it, but just tell me when it's done. I'm sure it's hilarious.
I hate Jay so fucking much. I think he might be the worst person you ever created. I don't want to judge you, but
Is it done?
what were you thinking that day?
Oh, yeah.
I love Seth. I love being his friend. He's an awesome guy. But it's like Jay is the last connection to his shitty, weird Canadian life. Just do me one favor, God.
I love my favorite moment of that, even though I couldn't hear any of it just now, was when he's like, hey, God, I'd like to pray to you right now. It's me, Jonah Hill from Moneyball. Could you imagine if we like introduced ourselves like that? Like, hey, God, I'd like to pray to you right now. It's Ben Begley from Guilty Movie Pleasures.
And he'd be like, wait, do you mean Ben Begley from the Funhouse Massacre?
And I'd be like, oh, sorry, I should have led with that one.
Oh,
Damn it. You know, you got to qualify. He's keeping track of a lot of people. You know,
it's so true.
And what you really fucked up when he's like, Jay, what were you thinking? Like when you created him, he's such a dick. Please kill him. And then the very next scene is a demon with a giant erect demon penis that comes in. Apparently, the way demons in this apocalypse possess you is by fucking you to death.
He also scratched him, so I wasn't sure what did the possessing.
Yeah, maybe the scratch was just the possession and the fucking was for fun.
Was that for fun?
I don't know, but it's hilarious. And then
the demon didn't have a magazine like a goddamn pilgrim.
No, yeah, he had to go for the real thing, Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
And then so they go to Jay and Craig Robinson go to the neighbor's house to try and find water. They come across a hellhound, which is a really fun set piece where they're being chased around by this creature that looks badass. They're trying to escape. They're panicking. That is intercut with Seth and James trying to figure out what's going on with Jonah Hill, and they mama bird feed him the Milky Way, and then he comes to life, and they realize he's possessed. And then eventually Jay and Craig Robinson come back.
Wait, you're yada-yadaing the worst part of this movie.
What?
I think you know, Ben. When Jonah Hill projectile vomits.
Oh, yep. I knew it. I forgot. Yeah.
The poison bile over the two of them.
I know you, and that's the worst because you hate vomiting on screen. This was hysterical, though.
I feel like I was set up for this.
We're just going to start every week. The stipulation between Ryan and I is what movie contains on-screen vomit, because that's what we need to show Jesse because he hates it so much.
Yeah, you lulled me into a false sense of security with an hour and 15 minutes of hilarity.
Yeah, good job, Ryan. That's your job.
I let my guard down. I was too busy looking for Channing Tatum.
So then they have the Exorcism of Jonah Hill, which they even put up a title saying the Exorcism of Jonah Hill. And the whole thing's very much a grounded spoof of The Exorcist. And Jay Baruchel has his Bible, and he's saying, the power of Christ compels you. And this is the exchange between him and Jonah Hill, which is hilarious. Can you play clip number 9, please? Clip number 9, Ryan, did you leave us? Oh.
The power of Christ compels you. Does it, Jay? The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compelling me? Is that what's happening? The power of Christ compels you. Guess what? It's not that compelling.
Guess what? It's not that compelling. And the great part about this scene is they lean into the horror a little bit, where, like, as funny as it is, Jonah Hill's his voice and the look of him looks really creepy. Like it reminds me of Sam Raimi, like Evil Dead style, like the Deadites come into life. And goddamn, it's so funny. And then the bed catches on fire. And there's another this is a set piece like Ryan was talking about, where there's a stuntman in a full bodysuit on fire chasing after them as they run out of the house, falling off the balcony, catching the entire house on fire, which forces our heroes outside. And Jesse, explain to me, since now we're at the point where we're about to get to your favorite person. How do they tell us the journey to get to Channing Tatum out there?
So they run into this big devil guy, and Craig Robinson is like, you know what, guys, I should be the one. I'm gonna distract him while you guys get into the Prius.
Oh, the winged
and
creature,
you can get away.
Serpent.
Yeah, the big winged creature. So they're like, no, Craig, don't. And he's like, you know what? I've been a bad person. I gouged the guy's eye out.
Which we didn't even talk about. Hilarious.
Which we didn't even talk about. I've been a bad person. I'm going to make up for it right now. You guys go. And so he distracts him. And right when the demon is about to grab him, because he is sacrificing himself, he is now qualified to go into heaven.
Yeah.
So he gets pulled up, and they're like, oh, shit, you can redeem yourself right now. And they start like saying nice things to one another. They're just back and forth.
How did it work?
It's not working. And so then they're just driving along.
Yeah.
They get hit by a big truck, and just a group of cannibals grabs them. And Danny McBride comes out of the truck with a leash.
Wearing a human skull as a hat.
Yep. He pulls the gimp out, and he's basically like, I'm a cannibal now. I do what I want, when I want. Look at this. I got a gimp. The gimp is Channing Tatum. And Channing Tatum pulls the mask up. And he's like trying to grab Danny McBride's dick. And
he's like, "What's up, guys? Oh, hey."
Hey.
My favorite moment is when they cut to Channing Tatum and he just awkwardly goes, I love him, about Danny McBride. So weird.
And so James Franco then does the same thing where he's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself. You guys get out of here. So he does. And same thing. He starts getting pulled up into heaven. And then he just takes that moment to talk shit to Danny McBride.
Like, fuck you guys.
He's flipping him the bird. Fuck you guys. Fuck you. And then he gets dropped again. And Danny McBride just takes a bite out of live
like,
James Franco's face.
Literally bites his nose off. It's hysterical and disgusting. And then then Jay and Seth, they're driving. There's a big demon, like a Marvel Cinematic Universe sized Thor Ragnarok demon with a huge demon dick walking around. # demon dick. I don't think that's the first time we've said demon dick on this show. And Jay sacrifices himself, and Seth sacrifices himself, and he tries to pull Jay up, and he's like, "No, man, it's okay." And he's like, or
no, the other way. You had it right.
Other way around. I had it right.
Jay starts,
and Seth's holding on, and he's like, "It's okay, man. I'm gonna." And then they both end up going to heaven.
Yeah, he's dragging him down.
Yeah,
and he's like, "If I hold on, we're both gonna die." So he lets go, and then he gets pulled up, and "I Will Always Love You" starts playing. And when that started to swell, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, my eyes started to well up.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, fucking friendship!"
Yo, they like totally earn that moment.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, where he's like, "I'm sorry, I've been a dick, man. You know, you're right." And then when they get to heaven, there's all these celebrities, and then they're like, "Whatever you want, you wish for it, and it happens." And then Backstreet Boys comes out, but before then, let's play Craig Robinson's clip when he's the St. Peter's to enter into the pearly gates. Clip 10. Did it play?
It did play. Welcome to Heaven.
Did you play clip 10, Ryan?
We did play it. We did play it.
Good. All right. Well, welcome to Heaven, motherfuckers. Anyways,
I have a couple of questions that I want to leave you with because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to throw them out there. One, are we to understand that 0 people are good enough to go to heaven because no one got sucked up? That's the first thing. The second thing is, when he wished for the Backstreet Boys, were those the actual Backstreet Boys? Were they already in heaven? Did they have a choice to come perform? Or were they in heaven summoned and they were like, "I guess I'm being controlled now"?
I think they absolutely are in heaven, and that's like their new gig.
And they just have to come when people wish for them?
I think so.
Okay. Because I was like,
they're in purgatory.
Like, he should have just wished for his friends at that
point. All right, well, we got to wrap, apparently. But it's even better to have a huge dance number with Backstreet's back. All right.
I appreciated that, for sure.
I love this movie so much. This is all the time we have for this week. Send us your suggestions for next week. We're going to be doing this weekly quarantine. Maybe we'll get some celebrity guests on here. Who knows? But Jesse, until next time, where can they find you?
Well, first
we got to rate
the movie, Ben.
Yeah, I think it's Guilty but Awesome, leaning way more towards awesome than guilty. It's great. So I love this movie. It's one of my favorite comedies.
I agree with you. I'm on board. Guilty but awesome.
Brian, what about you? Yep, he's nodding. Yep. Okay, Jesse, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter and Instagram. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at Too Much Jesse, for sketch at The Prom Losers.
You can find me at the Ben Begley on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us at Guilty Movie Guys on Twitter. Send us your suggestions. We have nothing but time.